Greetings, it is IT2 again, and today I want to talk about, somebody made a suggestion that I should make a favorite classes in school video, so I was thinking about that. Like, I didn't know exactly what they meant, like, is it my favorite subject in school, maybe? Like, for example, chemistry in high school. I like the idea of chemistry, I like the periodic table, I like the way molecules work, and like memorizing the symbols and how they combine, and kind of like, subatomic particles and physics and stuff like that. I like all that kind of stuff. But chemistry in high school wasn't fun at all. It was all a bunch of math. It was all about stoichiometry and like how many moles or molecules or something of this many grams of this. If you add it to this, the chemical reaction would produce how many moles of this other thing. And like covalent bonds and how electron levels would change if you add two different things together, and it wasn't really fun at all. It was hard as fuck. I remember like not doing anything in that class because it was so hard to understand and weird, and so I kind of bailed on it. I don't know how I got through it. But then like we had a regular physics class, and that was pretty fun, and we had this bridge building contest that me and this other guy won because we kind of like exploited it. Like we made everybody's supposed to like figure out the angles, like if you take these tiny little balsa wood sticks and you glue them together and figure out the best triangles and stuff to make it the best structure, right? And then they put this metal thing on it in the middle of it, and they put a bucket under it, and they fill it with sand and see how much you can hold before it breaks. So we're like, okay, these fucking balsa wood sticks are crap. Let's just take 4 of them, combine them into a big thick-ass fucking square. We got really thick wood then, because it's called laminating it. So after we did that, we won, and they said, okay, from now on, no more laminating. That's bullshit. So we had like double whatever the second place guy was or something. It was crazy. The bucket almost filled up. We had so much sand in it. But also in the physics class, we had these little sinks, right? And they had these nozzles on where you hook a water hose up to it. And we would get bored in class like everybody does. And of course, if you got like a sink with water in it, we would like barely turn it on where it would just start dripping a little bit. And then we'd be like, okay, let me just drip some on my finger here, right? And then we'd just like put it on the table. And then drip some more on our finger, put it on the table. Until eventually the whole table was covered in water. It's almost like you had a big water spill, but nobody ever turned the water faucet on all the way. So like, this was like real subtle. And it's like, by the end of the class, though, it was just like a little layer of water. The whole thing would have dried out and evaporated and it would be gone. It was like, we'd see how much we could put on the table and evaporate by the end of the class. And it was real fun and pretty hilarious. So then we got my favorite subject was probably geometry. But that was one of my least favorite teachers. Because, like, she was wrong a lot of times. Like, she had this one question about, like, a 9-square grid, like, how many would be, like, 4.25 area. Like, how would you draw a line to make 4.25? And I kept, like, showing her how she was wrong. And she's like, no, because over this, and I was like, no, it's only, like, so much. That's like 4.5. It's not 4 1/4. And she's like, she didn't like that I was proving her wrong and shit. So I was really good at geometry. I know, like, all the stuff about, like, the interior angles of a triangle add up to 180. Any parallelogram adds up to 360. Congruent angles, if you intersect them, the opposite ones are the same. And you have to make all these postulates and theorems. That's easy for me to figure out. Like, I guess all of this I kind of think about all the time anyway. Like, if I'm cutting a pizza, I think about, like, how many slices would make a straight line. Because a straight line is 180 degrees. I don't know if you guys know about this, but, like, right, say we got a triangle. Alright, triangle. Just do this on camera real quick. I'll show you how it works. But the geometry class, I actually failed one of the semesters because one of it was like 80% of the grade was a Christmas project, and I was kind of protesting that Christmas is a religious holiday and it shouldn't be as a violation of separation of church and state, so I didn't do Christmas project. But I was so fucking good at everything else. I had A, F, A, and it averaged out to like a B+ or something. And then we had this, okay, watch this. I'm going to cut off the angles. Bam, bam, bam. So that's all the 3 angles of it. I probably should have wrote down which one was which, because now I just have 3 small triangles. But if you take them and you add them up like this, right? So you got a straight, wait. Yeah, see, they all add up to a straight line. I don't know if it's the top or the bottom, but either way, it comes out to be a straight line, which is 180 degrees. Anyway, you do that with a square, it adds up to 360. It should make a circle. So what were we talking about? Oh, we're making like these Newtonian solids out of straws. That was fun. So the Christmas project, everybody's making all these like Christmas trees out of string and weird shit like that, and I just kind of didn't do any of it. But here's the funniest thing, like, the semester test was graded on a curve, which is a geometrical term, by the way, and I didn't know what that meant. So I was like, I'll just do the best I can, because that's what you do in a test. So what a curve is, if you don't know, like, it kind of assumes that the teacher did a bad job teaching you that time, so it gives you a little leeway. So whatever the the highest score from 100, it just assumes that it raises it up to 100. So like if everybody got like an 80, then 80 would be 100. If somebody got like a 78, then they would have got a 98 because the highest score was an 80. So it curves downwards to like whoever's the dumbest person is or the smartest person, something like that. So I just rocked this fucking test and got a 98 on it. And I was done before everybody else. I was like, here you go. I'm going to go sit in the cafeteria now. And she graded it real quick and said, oh, you got a 98. That's going to really fuck up the curve for everybody. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but whatever. And everybody was like mad at me. So it was like, everybody was expected to get like an extra 20 points or something on their grade, and they only got 2 points. But that was pretty fun. But then, like, if you go back to like middle school, like we had this art class, and the teacher was out of her mind. She was real stupid. She must have done something in art before to get her the position, because she was not smart enough to be a teacher. And we would just like take the covers of Nintendo Power magazines and draw like Yoshi and a bunch of blocks and shit. And we would just draw things like Sports Illustrated for Kids. We would take that and we would draw whatever was on it. It was the dumbest class I've ever seen, but it was fun, I guess, messing with her. And then we had these two teachers that were like married. They were both history teachers. I think one was 7th grade and one was 8th grade. And they were super intelligent, like smart people. But they're real sports fans too. And we figured out early on that if you just get them talking about sports, they will forget to assign homework that day. Or if you just ask them really weird questions that they take a long time to explain. So, like, I remember science class, or was it science? No, it was geography. One was also a geography teacher. And they would ask him about, like, sports shit, and, like, whose team's going to win in basketball or whatever. And then his wife, we were in her history class, where we watched Shirley Jackson's The Lottery, where they stone a bitch to death. That was hilarious. But we would say, like, what's a walnut shell made of? Which is, like, cellulose or something. But it's, like, one of those weird questions, like, is it wood? It's not really wood. And then she would have to, like, go into this big explanation or something, and, like, she would forget to give us homework. I think one time we asked her what chalk was made of. And then I had this friend Jonathan was in there with me, and he was kind of like an anarchist or something, because we had this big dictionary next to where we sat, and like he would just catch the teacher like looking away, and he would just reach over and just rip a page out of this big dictionary, and he'd look around and laugh at it. And it was just, we had this one girl in the class that was like oblivious. She would always like have her head in a book, right? And she was a super shy and introverted as fuck. She was always reading. And then one time we're all like reading to ourselves in this chapter of the book, right? And she takes her ring off. And it's fucking silent as fuck. And she takes her ring and she starts going and like rolling it in a circle around on the desk. Is just like, that's all anybody could hear is big sound. And we're like, holy shit, she doesn't even know. So like, that was always fun. And then, like in 7th grade, one guy stuck a fork in a light socket or something, and a big spark shot out in one class. I don't remember what class that was. It was weird. Because I took all these weird electives and stuff, and like one of them was like kind of like an agricultural class or something, and we had the Future Farmers of America, which if you don't know what that is, it's like in the country, in the South, we have these like farm people that like go to fairs and they judge cows and they bring in their crops, who has the best crop and that kind of a thing. And it was really big on parliamentary procedure. which I think is kind of a dumb, kind of a religious style tradition, and I make fun of it, kind of like I made fun of the haka the other day. And it was always like, they would say this ritual every time before you'd have a meeting of the FFA, and they would say, like, I am the treasurer, I am stationed by the owl, or whatever, and my job is to do this. And then one guy would be like, I am the sergeant at arms, I'm stationed by the door, and my job is this. And it was so dumb. It was always doing that same shit, and they do that, like, in Congress, too. You can see this weird parliamentary procedure going on. Like, you have to submit your minutes to the next person or something if you don't use all your minutes, and I recognize the chair from Illinois or something. Like, it's the same kind of shit. And I remember we made like a bookshelf in a wood shop class, and then this was like at the height of what's it called when you grow stuff in water? Hydroponics. Hydroponics was just really brand new at the time, and they were showing us some tobacco plants or something being grown hydroponically. So that was like 7th and 8th grade. I don't remember any classes other than those, really. We had this math teacher, and he would always have like a meter stick, and he would hold it and just kind of bounce it when he would talk. That wasn't a really big deal. But I liked all of the typing classes and anything to do with computers, because we would put like Hexen and Doom and shit on it and play games. Or I had that one class that was typing. I think I wrote out that crazy story I think I made a video about these two like guys with guns. I mean, that would probably be banned by today's standards. And then I think I got my driver's license in that class, like around that same time, because I remember comic books were just getting huge, and like the X-Men, and we were really big into Gambit and Wolverine, and we were taking cards and like whizzing them across the room. And there was a really hot chick in that class that had a really nice butt named Melissa. And I think I had my driver's license. I was whizzing it across the room at some point, like a ninja star. That was kind of weird. And then there was a psychology class that was pretty cool, because we watched this video about the guy who killed John Lennon from the Beatles, because we were reading Catcher in the Rye, and he kind of said it influenced him to murder John Lennon or something. And we had like a home ec class next to that we made a fruit pizza in it one time, so that was kind of my start at pro cooking stuff. And then we had like the weird class where I got banned and sent to the library and messed with the teacher from biology class. That's probably my least favorite class, was biology. Even though like biology is one of my favorite subjects, the teacher wasn't ever there, and I got bullied in that class, so that's my least favorite class. So my favorite subjects, usually I had like the worst experiences in school. But, we also had a history, or what was it called, social studies, I guess, teacher that was really good. And she was teaching us something about like World War II or something. And she came in like dressed in a uniform one day, and she had all these chairs arranged like trenches, and we had to crawl under them. And she had like smoke machines and fog machines or something to make it like realistic battle kind of situation or something. I think she had like music playing or something, or like gunshots. It's pretty cool. I had to write a huge essay on the Egyptians in that class, though. That was like a bitch. But, that's school. You got your regular old English classes after that. I made a book report on the Dracula. It was pretty neat. I used to make fun of like spelling words that were like, write a word with ragamuffin, and I would write like, this morning I dropped my breakfast and I had to rag a muffin. So, that was always fun times. And then we had Spanish class. Everybody was like hot for the Spanish teacher. I remember she was like teaching us, how do you feel today, good or bad? And like, bad was mal and good was bueno. Or you could say regular, which is like in between. I feel regular today. And she got to me and I was like, me como arroz it. I don't know what feel is, but like, I said loco. And she's like, oh, you know what crazy means. What else was there? PE. I don't really care about PE. I did smoke these guys one time at the end of PE class. We were playing like basketball with these little mini basketballs. And they figured like I'm a nerd, so I would suck. And this guy was like guarding me hardcore. And I was like, did all this kind of move. And I just threw the ball and like it went in. So that was like a good moment. Good moments in sports, T2. Yeah, I should have included this in my History T2 high school years, because that's pretty much all of my high school memories. Yep, that's pretty much it.